Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week of Hyperfixated. We're celebrating this episode because it's a very special episode. We have reached 99 listeners in the last 90 days since we started this podcast. Last 60 days since we started this podcast. So by the end of this episode, we will have reached 100 listeners, which means we get host read ads. Um, for us as a small podcast, that doesn't mean much quite yet, but for us, that just shows that thanks to you guys, we've been able to make it this far, and you guys enjoy our content enough to where we can start to make a little side money off of it, even though we're not going to be spending it because, like I said, we're going to be making it into merch. But with all that being said, I want to issue a thank you to everybody who's listened to us and given us a chance to branch out and hear our opinions and listen to us because we couldn't be a podcast without the listeners, and we greatly appreciate every single one of you. So that
Let's
being said, today,
go. Thank you to
yeah,
the
today
people.
Yes, sir.
today I'm joined by my co-host Luke and our special guest Qwayn, and today we're going to be
Yeah.
talking about Star Wars, as this is
Hey,
going
it's
to be a
Quan
very
Dingleberry.
very it's going to
Oh,
be a this is going to be a very, very exciting episode because I know all three of us love Star Wars,
Yes,
and
sir. Yes,
Luke
sir.
might have to make a premature exit. I don't. I think we'll make it in time, but just to make sure, in case Luke
Possibly.
has to have a premature exit, we might have to release. But to start off, gentlemen, what is your favorite out of the three trilogies of Star Wars? That being prequels, original, and sequels. Out of three, which is your favorite? Quan, I'll let you start.
um, mine's a weird take, but it's gonna be episode one, Phantom Menace. Uh, I love the fact that it feels different from what we're used to, and it feels like Star Wars. I think the prequels did something better than what the sequels did, making it feel like Star Wars and making it feel, big and epic.
Yeah,
Are we doing it by the trilogies or the episodes?
we're doing this by the trilogy. So, like, what you
Oh,
basically what I would ask is like, which trilogy, like, what do you think, out of which trilogy, which three do you think has the best set of movies and why?
my bad.
No,
Prequels.
no, no, you're good.
It's okay,
You're
Quan
good.
Dingleberry.
Yeah, yeah. My bad. It would be the prequels for me. I think I have the most emotional attachment to Clone Wars and that whole saga. That yeah.
Yeah.
I think for me
All right.
too, it's gonna be the prequels. More or less so. I do love the originals a lot, but the prequels kind of gave it that time jump and entertainment to where it could still look old school, but the technology just made the sci-fi looking better because it was arguably the biggest sci-fi franchise of its time, and I just think that the prequels had the perfect balance between with what time period they were in and what they were trying to make.
Yeah, and that's why I also feel that the prequels are my favorite out of the trilogies. This shows what generation we were born in, because old
Yeah,
heads be getting on us right now, being like, "What are you
yeah.
talking about? Original."
What you
Look,
talking about, Willis?
I have nothing but full respect for the originals because those are the three. There's not a bad movie in the originals,
No.
No, not at all.
but for me in the prequels, like Luke said, it gives much desired context that the original three, um like it basically expanded on the originals and gave us much needed context on like how Darth Vader came to be, how Obi-Wan
Oh
came to
yeah.
be, like how did the empire rise and the republic fall. It gave us a bunch of stuff that we really needed to know, and that's why I like it a lot.
I
Plus
still always wonder why it was produced like that.
Well, like
I, from what I would get. Oh, Quan, go ahead. I'll go after you.
what I liked about the prequels the most is that it gave us, and I know it sounds weird and cliche, but it gave us Jedi. It gave us
Yeah,
Yeah,
war.
yeah. No,
It
no, you're
wasn't.
right. It in the originals, it really only focused on Luke because he was basically the
Yeah,
last Jedi. Hence,
exactly. But being able to see the Jedi Council as it was, seeing the Republic, work the way it worked, it was honestly amazing. Like that to me was cool. There's multiple Jedi on the screen, like
hmm
Genosis. Genosis has to be one of my favorite battles, just because like
Yeah,
everything that was going on in that screen was cool to me.
It was
yeah,
chaos. Chaos. I still flash back to playing it on the Lego games.
100%. That one was, I don't know, something about
I
Attack of the
kept
Clones. Like,
I kept switching my player to Mace Windu. I was like, I want the
Hey,
purple saber.
hey.
dude, I like Miss Window. Yeah, because purple is my favorite color. Like, if I were to explain why I like the sequel, I'll talk about why I like the sequels at the very end because it has to tie in with a different thing we're going to talk about at the end. But all I gotta say, like, I like the sequels because the sequels is like it's a story. All three movies are like a small little piece of a story. The first two movies are a small little piece to the story that you can analyze and see key points in, and then the third movie is like the climax to everything that has happened between the first and second movie, and everything. Three's when shit hits the fan, basically. Like
Yeah.
Mm.
everything that happened in the first two leads to the direct result in the third one, and that's what, like, I don't know. I love all of them, all the movies, but like I feel like one and two were like the perfect preface for everything that's going to happen in the third.
Because to me, the pacing was better in the prequels than it was in the originals. And again,
I
I love the
fully agree.
originals, but like the pacing was so much better.
Hmm.
The
Yeah,
the fact that you know Anakin's gonna become this thing, but like you see that process, you see his growth, you
mm,
see the Mace Windu, if we can talk about him later. But you
yeah.
see these characters develop stories that
It
you
goes
know
back to what Colby said. The prequels just gave context. It gave the characters. It gave the backstories. It gave the backgrounds. It built into the story that was already told back in the 70s. But it also left people guessing, like, for decades. Like, what?
yeah.
See,
Why is
like,
this?
yeah. Go ahead. I
No,
didn't
I
mean
was
to
just gonna
interrupt.
say, why is this the way that this is? But you know what? If we waited over 20 years for a story, it might as well be good.
Well,
This
cool
is why
question.
that I'm was it.
Did the original Clone Wars, like the 2D anime series that they had on the Cartoon Network,
Cartoon
did
Network?
that come out before Episode 2?
I think it.
No, it came after.
Nah, but it
Is
came
it?
out before. It came out before the 3D one did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the Clone Wars, if I'm not mistaken, started late 2000s. Because remember,
Yeah.
me, you, and Gavin were still watching it up until a couple of years ago.
Well, that show came out in '02.
All right, the original one then. Yeah, so the Clone Wars, Attack of the Clones came out in like
Oh,
'03. No, it came out in '02. Yeah, Attack of the Clones came out in like '02, I think, as well. And so I guess they came out towards the same time. And then after like Revenge of the Sith and everything, uh, I guess Cartoon Network decided they were going to help make the actual Clone Wars show and take some of the ideas from that show, but then make it like 3D and give it more like background as well.
Yeah.
hmm.
Audience, sorry for the sniffling. Your boy has a sinus infection right now, and it ain't it's not too good.
Oh no.
But what I was gonna say, I lost what I was gonna talk about because man. All right. So yeah, like I said, I'm glad my dad. He said that he originally wanted to start me off watching 4, 5, and 6, and then go back and watch 1, 2, and 3 like he did. But he said nah, like it's a new generation. I'm gonna start him off with Phantom Menace and everything. So he started me off with 1, 2, and 3, and so like I like this more because like I have the background. So I never got to experience like what the people in the '70s and like beyond did. Like, because we never got to experience the, oh, let's watch 4, 5, and 6 first, and then now, oh, now we have background. Now we know what's going to happen. Because when I watched it, I had no clue who Darth Vader was. So when I saw Anakin turn, for me, like my heart was broken. I was like, oh, oh,
Uh oh.
and then like, but then like everybody in the '70s was like, oh, I already know what's going to happen to him. I'm just glad I get backstory on it. But for me, like as a kid, I'm like watching my favorite character turn bad on the screen, like broke me. I was like,
Mm.
I was defeated.
Dang,
I
bro,
mean,
that's a big L.
And then the sequels, if we can expand on that for a quick second, I feel like Force Awakens Force Awakens was the only good one out of those two. Force Awakens had like a great, like, well, somewhat good ending, and then they switched the actors from J.J. Abrams to Ryan Johnson, and that dude made the least Star Wars movie I've ever watched in my life.
I was
And
about to
then
say,
yeah, and then they brought J.J. back for the Rise of Skywalker, but by then it was kind of too late, and
yeah.
so he kind of just he did what he could to save it. And then I hear like there's supposed to be this really cool scene where Anakin was supposed to come back. Then Kathleen Kennedy cut in and said, "Oh, less is more," and like just scrapped the entire thing after Hayden Christensen had already recorded a few scenes, and that footage is like gone. That footage is deleted, and
Well,
I'm just
like,
like, bro,
Colby's like, I want to assault someone.
I do. As
where's
Light
my?
Yagami once said, this.
You hear
As
that? We
Light
got that
Yagami
on
once
tape.
said, Luke. As Light Yagami once said in Death Note, "This is the first time in my life I've been provoked to hit a woman."
Shoot, because
You hear
like
that, guys? We got that. FBI, open up.
Equal rights mean equal fights.
dang, Kobe became Zoro, the Minority Slayer. Uh,
Yeah.
no, but my issue with the sequels was it's not Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, no, I just dislike them, period.
it's not, and the way the media rollout leading into the movie, no clickbait. I ain't gonna hold you. That was a lot
Yeah.
of clickbait.
Yeah.
They could have kept it at 1 through 6. I would have been good.
Yeah,
Same.
or
Then they just started
dive.
killing our favorite people.
Or yeah, that or like my what I had an idea. They just don't do it in this universe. Like pick a different
Mhm.
galaxy far, far away, and you can
Or
create your own little Star Wars adventures over there.
go
I
back to
mean,
the
it's
old
like,
Republic.
yeah,
You go ahead, yeah, true.
I just don't like killing off the characters. Like there's no point. There's no reason for them to have to give them a definitive ending to their
The
story.
only
Like
person that
we
they
could
kind of
just be
had to do that with Leia. They kind of had
yeah,
to with Leia, but like everybody else, like Han Solo
yeah,
could have made it through that
yeah, and
fine.
it's
That's it.
like we could have just went on believing they just did other things in the galaxy, but
Yeah, no,
no.
what they did, they wanted to kill off the old to make way for the new, and unfortunately, nobody else really liked that idea.
Mm.
Dude, they made Mark Hamill break down and cry and hate his character because they ruined Luke Skywalker, and he's
Oh
like, "That
yeah,
I'm not the Luke that I was portrayed to be. Luke was portrayed to be a hero, and they turn him into a wimp who hides."
And that's exactly like my issue with the sequels.
thanks
Is
Disney.
that one
Yeah.
they kill off people with ease, like OGs with ease. Like Han Solo's not
Yeah,
dying like that. I'm sorry. This man has survived all this crap for him to die like that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Come on.
Mm-mm.
Also, again, they gave no context to Rey at all.
No,
She had no
none at
issue.
all.
She had no issue, battling some of the most, supreme of force users. So, like, again, they gave her no power scaling. They gave her none of that. She was just OP, and she was just there for the plot.
And I hated the way she fought.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't like her lightsaber
Looks so
style. Just like
sloppy. Yeah,
nah, what they
it's
did to
like
Finn
it
is
just looks
crazy.
sloppy.
What they did to Finn
well,
is
meanwhile,
crazy.
like Luke's fighting with like form and dignity, and Anakin's fighting with like all the little spinny, swoopty douche tricks. Like, dude's freaking like comparing Anakin and Luke's fights to like Rey's fights. Like Rey's like a kindergartner compared to the other two.
You know what
Yeah, that's
Anakin
like.
fights like though? He fights like a combination of like Qui-Gon and Mace Windu.
Well, he's
Yeah,
taken on. He
Yeah.
fights with different forms. I can't remember. I remember one being called like Form 7, which I think was Mace Windu, and then he was did another form, but I can't remember the name of it. But I think it was very
I think one was
prominent in like single-handed wielding, a lot of power in his swing, which is like how Darth Vader fought. He didn't really use two hands. You know, if you catch what I'm
yeah
saying.
form 5. He used form 4 while wielding two blades, but he usually used form 5.
Oh. Oh.
You know what I wish I got to see?
Uh,
I wish I got to see episode 3 in theaters because that
I did.
Yeah.
there's a whole audience out there that got to experience Anakin just going rogue, like full rogue.
I was right there. Dude, I was right there in the audience. I was in kindergarten. That was the first movie I saw in theaters, and I got to watch my boy turn bad. And dude, it was so devastating to watch when I was little. Like I was devastated whenever Anakin turned bad.
Yeah,
Villain arc.
Anakin's like Roman Reigns. Like you remember how Roman Reigns was the face of the I don't know if y'all like wrestling or anything, but Roman Reigns is the face of it, and he turns heel, and everybody's like, oh, and now he's just a dominant force. And like, what happened to the Roman Reigns I knew who was smiling and hugging kids? Nah, Anakin said, "F them kids."
Yeah, yeah, correct, correct.
He literally did. He said,
He
"Man,
said,
them
"We're
kids,
Texas for
bro."
fun of I support Texas."
He says when they mutter something under your breath, under their breath while you turned around. Jeez.
All right,
Uh,
so to move forward from our favorite trilogies, we were
yeah,
probably going
we
to
got really
rank our.
sidetracked.
Yeah,
Nah, that's okay. This is a good form of sidetrack, but
Okay,
we're gonna rank the original. We'll do the side movies and side series in a different episode, but
right.
strictly we're gonna do strictly like the main 9 movies. So the tier goes from best to worst. Best being cinematic masterpiece, then moving down to amazing, then good. Good is the middle ground, and then you have mid, and then the worst is big booty butt cheeks again.
and are we doing chronological order or release order?
We will do chronological order just to make it easier because sometimes your boy forgore. All right, so the
Understood.
first chronologically, the first one being the Phantom Menace.
Um, honestly, don't hate me. I thought it was kind of mid. I mean, it was.
I'm not gonna lie.
I mean, the
I
the, the, the redeeming quality of that whole movie was the Darth Maul fight, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
But
the music was great.
that whole just the rest of the movie is just like so much build up, and I get they needed it, I do, but I was still completely bored by it. So that's why I think it's a mid movie.
One of my least favorite lines in the entire movie is Kid Anakin going "Yippee!"
Mm-hmm. And they had, if I'm not mistaken, they can easily point out that Qui-Gon uses a razor blade as a telecommunicator. And if I'm
Yeah,
not mistaken, too, there was like a frame where there was a complete camera in shot. I just don't know when it was. Or
Personally,
yeah.
what I think,
microphone. It
See,
might have been a mic.
I'm not
personally,
gonna put it at. Go
okay.
ahead.
Personally, what I liked about it was it mirrored episode 4
I mean, yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of like
no, you're not
how
wrong.
the layout of the yeah.
Yeah,
It felt like
It's like an
it's the
homage
last
thing.
Star Wars film you'll watch that feels like an actual, you know, like it belongs to the series. Like, because 2 and 3 are great, but they don't feel like they belong. If that makes sense.
I'm not picking up what you're
Like, I
laying
love
I,
down, but
episode
we
three.
I
all
was
have
about
our
to
own
say I'm not.
opinions.
I was about to say I'm not either. What are we talking about?
Not because like
What you talking about,
again,
Willis?
episode 1. Like, if you look at the original trilogy, there's that adventure part of Star Wars. There's and I feel like when 2 and 3 came out, that adventure kind of like went left, and it just became action. Which there's nothing wrong with it. But again, episode 1 to me was like the last one where I felt okay. There's an adventure. You know what I'm saying? We get to meet characters. This is cool. Like it's
I'll respect
pretense to
that.
what we're
I'll
gonna get.
respect that.
I am picking up what you're putting down in that aspect, yeah. Because the other ones kind of lead you into war, and then three's like the events right when the war is ending, and then a bunch. It's more character development than it is like new introductions. I get what you mean.
Yeah.
All right, I will settle to put Phantom Menace straight in the middle with like good,
Okay.
I'm fine with
if
that.
that's okay.
Yeah.
All right, so then next we have Attack of the Clones. I'm gonna give my opinion on this one first. Geonosis and the Count Dooku fight saved this movie because any dialogue between Anakin and Padme makes me want to commit suicide to the highest degree possible.
Yeah, it's.
Him trying to riz up Padme, being like, "I
I
hate
hate
sand. It's
saying.
coarse and rough. It gets all over the place. Unlike you, my lady." Tips his hat.
And I get it.
Hold
It's
on, I
outer
gotta
space.
pick it.
It's outer space.
You
So I
guys,
bro,
keep,
bro rolled a 1 on charm, dude.
and again, it's outer space, so I can't. There's no like Asian consent, I guess, in outer space, right? And Natalie Portman aside, that's that's not okay. Like
Oh yeah,
that
Padme is a pedophile.
like,
Padme is a pedophile. We all
her
know this.
tension needs to be at the table. You know what I'm saying?
She
Like
was with his child. She was a pedophile,
I still like how Mace
and
Windu
it
was the only one
rhymes.
saying, "Hey, this doesn't like ring a bell. Like this isn't this ain't
This
business,
don't
y'all."
add up. These numbers ain't adding up for you, Keith.
Everybody's like just trusting the force. That's
Yeah,
all
no,
I'm
dude. I
saying.
mean, I like the. Geonosis fight's good. It's just so dang chaotic, but that's one of the aspects of it that I do like. But I still prefer probably just the Count Dooku battle, the one-on-one, and getting to see Yoda do his thing for a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I agree with Colby that fight saved the movie because yeah, other than that, it was just
Here we go.
garbage.
Here we go. I'm haunted by the kiss you should never have given me.
Golly.
Yeah, dude,
But
I hate. And here, my heart is hoping that kiss will not become a scar. You are in my very soul, tormenting me, dude. I hate it so much. Here, from the moment I met you all those years ago, not a day has gone by when I haven't thought of you. And now that I'm with you again, I'm in agony. The closer I get to you, the worse it gets. Gosh,
oh Lord,
I hate the dialogue between both of them in that entire
No
movie.
Riz.
And then like I
you know what's
do like
crazy?
certain parts whenever his lightsaber breaks and he goes, "Not again. Obi-Wan's going to kill me." And then like
Yeah,
all that
because
other
Obi
stuff.
Wan
But
didn't
like
feel like no, because
what was it?
Obi Wan's like that cool history teacher that you had in school that like never gave
Yeah,
like a
I
single
do love
line
his
out.
look in this movie. I love his
Yeah.
look, bro. I love the hair and everything. But it's just like Chad on the beach, like hang ten, bro.
Yeah,
See, but like
he
this
looked
is the
great.
movie like if you analyze through all of these, this is like the movie that you start to pick up on like certain behavior issues with Anakin and certain things that this is the movie where you start picking up little details that lead him to his eventual fall. And also like in that scene where he kills all the sand people and like at the split second you get to hear Qui-Gon yell, "Anakin, no!" And then like
Not just the men, but the women and children too.
and Padme like, I bet that kind of made me
Is
Yeah,
kind of made me gush.
yeah. Padme was like, let me just bone him. Yeah, that's what made me want to
Yeah,
bone
like
him.
yeah, that was it. That was the factor right there. He is him.
So like, what are you guys thinking? Because I'm good with putting this one at good again. I wouldn't
Yeah,
say amazing because like
Yeah, no.
again, their dialogue makes me angry. But
Nothing above the good, but I don't think it's deserving of a worse factor, so I can go with good too.
yeah.
all right, now
Well,
now
I want to mention something on in episode 3 before we say it, is that like with the
Cinematic
prequel,
masterpiece.
with the
cinematic
pre, yeah,
masterpiece.
exactly. But the prequels do a great job of pacing. Like again, episode 2 is slow into that chaotic, because that's what you're gonna get in episode 3. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
Yeah, because you start
I
to see
yeah,
the little
I
temper
do
tantrums that Anakin is having.
I do wish for some reason, I don't know why this bugs me, but I, I'm not completely comfortable with such a small, like air quote small age gap for Padme, whereas Anakin is like an adult. Like maybe in the Phantom Menace, if he was like maybe like a teenager or something, or like 10, 11, 12 years old, I feel like the age gap would have made some of the scenarios feel a little bit more
comfortable.
natural.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he looked
Yeah.
7.
He's like 6 in Phantom Menace, and then all of a sudden he's like
And
what
Padme's like at
19,
least
18, 20
16.
years old.
Yeah, I do feel you with that one.
That's Bomo and Goku
That's my
over there.
only critique.
That's that Bomo and Goku.
But what I'll say, like, if you watch this and the side series, like, I'm going to break away from our main topic for a second to switch to Kenobi because Kenobi gave us some background that we needed. Because there's a fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan in that series that takes place like during, well, like in between, yeah, before the events of the second movie, because Anakin still has his real arm, but it's showing that like Anakin always has this desire to like be the best and desire to win. And then when Obi-Wan beats him because he gets too distracted in his head, he's like, "Be mindful of your thoughts. This lust for power and desire is what's going to lead you to like failure." And so like all that being said, Anakin's downfall is still because he thinks he's the best and wants to keep winning and gets too in his head that he's better than everybody, and that ends up always being his downfall. His biggest downfall is always assuming that he's going to be better than everybody else and gets into his head.
Narcissism.
But his
That
biggest
makes him
downfall to me was he's still a kid. Like
Yeah,
again, when
he can't
he's not
control
trained
himself.
like that. Again, like and with Obi Wan being his master, no offense to Obi Wan, we all love Obi Wan, but him being lenient, led to
Well,
Anakin.
that being said, too, he was inexperienced. He took him on, and he
Very
hadn't
young,
even had
yeah.
he hasn't had a Padawan before, and he took on this like big risk to train like the chosen one. They sent someone who's never trained anybody before to train the one who's supposed to be greater than everybody, and
Yeah.
expected him to do like it perfectly. And
But
then
see, I think that helped line up, because the Jedi Council was never always right. It was filled with a bunch of old heads who just were so stuck in their ways. And I think with Anakin, seeing these cracks in the order kind of helped Kenobi develop as what kind of Jedi master he would want to be, and I think that perfectly shaped him into what we see later on in Kenobi's experiences.
because that Obi-Wan knew that him and Padme were hitting something.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
He's not
That
not only
even
stupid.
that, but
showed even in Clone Wars, he hints at
Yeah.
certain things with that. And then
Obi
like
Wan.
that's another part that like gets me with that, because like I get that like Anakin saw like different parts in their like philosophy that like didn't work, but at the same time, if he would have advised and like used those, none of this would have happened, because they have their whole like don't have any commitments, do not have any outside attachments, because those things will lead you to that path. And sure enough, he wanted to save his wife so much that he's the reason she died, because
Hmm.
he had an attachment when he shouldn't have. That's the only part of the old order I still believe that he should have followed, was
Because he
like, do
thought
not
he
have,
could do it all.
because Jedi's are peacekeepers, and they're supposed to just be there to keep the peace and also like bring balance back to the Force and destroy evil. And you can't do that if you have a distraction. And with
Also,
Anakin
Hmm.
having a distraction, he wanted to try to multitask with both, but he was afraid of loss, and loss was his biggest turning point to that dark side. And that's why I love this. This is why this is my favorite movie, because everything that happens in the first and second movie comes into action in the third one.
Because attachments create
well,
something to lose.
Mm.
Enough
not
said.
only that, but like I also like that like Yoda's partly to blame for this. Like you gotta think when this
Yeah.
was happening and Anakin was getting his training, this was during the wars. It was during the Clone
I
Wars.
mean, and Yoda definitely knew. He was not stupid,
And
but he was
Yeah.
letting
exactly.
Anakin decide his own path.
Also,
Because
he gave Anakin too
Yoda
much
even
power too
said
quickly.
no attachments. Do you like? He's basically saying you don't have any attachments, correct? He said you want to make sure that's all Jedi are supposed to have. That you're afraid of someone you love, huh?
Yeah, because I mean
Like,
they
so
did
Yoda
it
knew.
in the subtext of how they filmed it, especially when they were meditating together, and when he asked him that, it's like the shadow just casts over Anakin's face, which I thought was a great
Yeah.
little hint, detailed.
Can I say this one thing?
What's up?
Mace Windu was right. Mace Windu was right.
Yeah,
We should have listened to
Yeah.
Mace Windu.
yeah.
Yeah.
But we could have all ended Star Wars 2 with like Anakin saying like, "Hey, you've broken the code too. How about you just look the other way this time?" Oh crap! You know what? You're right. Let's do it. End of
Because
franchise.
Mace did dabble in the dark side as well. That's why he was able to use his breakpoint thing,
Yep.
which is he uses light and dark side, which is why it's purple, because purple signifies half blue, half red, and he uses dark side techniques as well.
Perfect.
So he's not the
Perfectly
only one.
balanced, as all things should be.
Also,
Correct.
just personal belief, I still feel like he's alive. Now, no, but like in the Empire days, yeah, I feel like he's still alive.
Nah, he's
Yeah,
dead.
he could have made it.
Can I have my dream? You know what I'm
Here,
saying?
You
look,
can
Quan.
have your dream. I'm
Here,
just telling you
look.
reality.
I'll say this: if Boba Fett can survive a Sarlacc pit, bro, Mace Windu could have survived falling out the window.
Exactly.
So I'll give him that.
I'll give him that, but he can still have his
I'll give him
dream.
that at least.
I'll say
All
like
right. We've gone a little sidetracked, so to bring it
Again.
back in,
yeah.
we're gonna hit it with well, I did say we're gonna get sidetracked a little bit, but bringing it back into action, I already want to put A New Hope in between. I want to put A New Hope in Amazing. Like, it's not a
Whoa,
cinematic
did we just
masterpiece
skip?
because
Did we just
Wait,
skip over
huh?
Revenge of the Sith?
I was gonna say
No, I
wait.
put it in cinematic masterpiece already.
Yeah, but we
We
didn't
skipped
even
over
really.
Clone Wars.
We were talking about
No,
Revenge of the
no.
Sith already.
I didn't think we were talking about Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, we didn't get to the.
I
Did
thought
we?
we were still
All right,
talking
well,
about something else, but I mean, it's cool. It's cool. I was
Yeah,
like, I mean, my argument still stands.
I think we
I
kind
just
of
did not
agree.
realize it.
Revenge of the Sith had the best choreography.
Yeah,
I agree,
that's all I wanted to add. Fight choreography, masterpiece. Like,
and the
Hmm.
music too. John Williams did it again.
Ding,
of
ding.
course.
All right,
Okay, but yeah, New
now,
Hope.
yeah,
Let's do it.
now A New Hope. New Hope's the one that started it all, and for it being the first movie, it did a very good job portraying what George Lucas wanted. And for me, I want to put it in amazing because there's very few. The only things I hate, the only things I don't like about this movie are just the fact that it aged because it's just an age difference thing. Like it's just like
Yeah,
older.
I I
That's
would
the
say
only real.
that's yeah my problem. I still think it could deserve masterpiece just because of what age it started in sci-fi
Yeah,
I'm
and
willing.
and
I'm
the time
willing to
period.
do that. I'm
I'd
willing to
say
put it in masterpiece.
based solely off of that purpose, but mechanically wise, like I see what you're saying, which is why I also agree with amazing. But you are the host, so I'm gonna leave that up to you.
I
Well,
mean,
like
Episode 4 is like the Resident Evil 4 of sci-fi. Like it's that evolution in sci-fi.
I don't know. For me, there's certain parts in like A New Hope where I'm just like I get like sometimes some parts of it I just get like bored. Like with the dialogue with them on the Death Star, where it's just like Tarkin and Vader. I'm like, I get it, but like gotta
Yeah.
explain it that much. I get it. Like for those talking points alone, I'll put it in amazing, just because the
Okay.
next one in this list, I feel the next one in this list definitely deserves cinematic masterpiece.
I
Yeah.
absolutely agree with that.
Empire
Empire
Strikes
Strikes
Back.
Back deserves nothing less.
This is my second favorite
Cause
Star Wars movie.
Mine too. And I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
And
I
in
hear
think
me
terms of
it's
out.
that,
I think
My
it's great.
favorite scene, my favorite scene in this movie is Dagobah. The music, the ambiance, like, well, I
Hmm.
just I like the sound effects in general, just like the bird going like "Arr, ah," in the background and everything, and just like hearing the music, like it's so good for me. I enjoy it a lot.
Nah,
I
I
love
agree
how
with you on every point.
I like how it's structured but still chaotic as well. Like that's what made again, and that's Luke's pretty much for me. That's Luke's most important episode.
Oh yeah. I
Yeah,
mean, it
You
helps
know,
him. It's funny to see little old Yoda too. Little crazy Yoda.
wait here before we start. Check this. Just listen. Dude, that's just, something about that's just so
Silently
relaxing.
chaotic.
And dude, look, that one part where he goes in that cave that's filled with like dark side energy, and he fights Darth Vader, and it turns out to be himself. Like, dude, that was freaking like that was good imagery. That's basically him saying like, if you give in to
This
your
could be
feelings, you're gonna
you.
turn up just like this. Yeah,
Do you want to be like me? Here's your infomercial ad.
yeah. And then like I want to go to like a old video that Mark Hamill was talking about where he had to keep like this part like on the down low for a long time, and then when the movie came out, Harrison Ford turned and looked at him. He goes, "Kid, you didn't tell me that." The like Darth
Really?
Vader was that yeah, because
Oh yeah.
the
yeah.
only person that knew that was George Lucas, the person who was filming it, and Luke and Mark Hamill. If anybody else told, they knew it would be Mark Hamill that told. So like
Mm.
he kept it on the down low. So when the movie came out and Harrison Ford is sitting next to him and he yells, "Luke, I am your father," and Harrison just looks at him. He goes, "Kid, you didn't tell me that." Like
Bro had to
he felt
sign
like
a
insulted.
non-disclosure.
Yeah,
An
like dude,
NDA.
freaking dude, that part I didn't live in that age, so I don't know, but like I can tell just by watching it, like I can guarantee people in like the people in the 70s probably blowing it, like thinking it was crazy. Like their minds
Oh,
are
it
blown.
was the biggest. I think it was probably the biggest reveal in sci-fi film history.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
What?
the biggest villain is your father. Oh hell, well,
Yeah.
like that's cool. That was cool.
Yeah, it was probably. I mean, I can't confirm it, but I bet it was
No,
probably one of the
that's
first few times
impossible.
that plot route has been taken in a film with such certain extent of I don't know, stakes in the movie.
I think you're forgetting Toy Story 2 when Zurg is Buzz Lightyear's father.
Really now? Wonder where they got that inspiration from.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
I don't know
Must have
either.
been
I guess
maybe
we.
Star Trek.
All right, guys, that's the end of the podcast. Thanks for dropping in.
What?
Hell, the sequels did it in reverse.
All right, so the next movie, Return
Let's
of the
explain
Jedi.
why they're all big booty butt cheeks.
Wait, no,
So
we ain't even finished Return of the
I
Jedi yet, Chief.
I know. But you started talking. I heard sequels, so I got
I just,
excited.
let's just dabble on it. We're gonna dive in on that.
Return of the Jedi. I also believe this is a cinematic masterpiece
This is my second
I
favorite movie.
agree. I agree.
Because of the fact
because in
of
this movie, Anakin gets to do his job. He gets to do the job he was born for, bring balance back with the help
but
of his son, but he still brought balance back.
But it doesn't balance in turn mean both light and dark is balanced.
Eh,
yeah.
Which I guess technically he still did fulfill because for some reason Palpatine survived all that. So
Mm.
hey,
The
Anakin
Empire
he
survived
he
that.
he murked himself. Let Palpatine live.
yeah.
But
He said, "Don't worry, pops, I got you."
But
to
then,
me,
dude,
like
like, just
again, like I
just
said, episode 5 was Luke's like training arc, and like episode like the Return of the Jedi was Luke's confidence. Luke was skilled. Luke understood. Like even when he was, like his confidence, like he regained that focus, and I think that's cool. Like Luke became the cool dude. You know what I'm saying? He went from that nerd in the back of the class to the man who's a jock on the team type shit.
oh yeah, man took on the Rancor and won.
Yeah.
And like my favorite scene in that movie, like I know I have to watch the entire movie to get to the end, but when you see Hayden Christensen pop up beside Obi-Wan and Yoda, and this is a hot take, Hayden Christensen is the perfect actor to play Anakin, and I don't want to hear nobody tell me nothing different because he portrayed exactly the way George Lucas wanted to, and that's my Anakin.
Yeah.
Let him do his
So
tangent.
so
I love how
seeing
they did
seeing
that.
hmm?
Sorry, go ahead, bro.
I was just seeing because I watched the original Return of the Jedi. I'm like, who's this old fart?
Yeah, oh,
And
that's
then like,
exactly what I was about to start talking about.
yeah,
The edit.
and then but then like for me like it makes more sense now when I'm watching it now because it has Hayden Christensen said saying that like the last time he was good, he looked like that. So
Yep.
when he's brought back to the light, he looks like he did the last time he was in the light, which is as Anakin Skywalker as Hayden Christensen. And I find that a lot better than having the old Anakin because I get it because at that time they didn't have a Hayden Christensen, but for me it's more
It was good
fulfilling being
subtext.
born for me, like it's more fulfilling being born, like watching 1, 2, and 3, and then going back into the old movies and seeing Anakin like come back from the dark to the light, and he comes back the way I remember him being, the way like all of us remember him being as Hayden
Mm-hmm.
Christensen, and
Hmm.
that's why I think it's better to see him like that than watch the old one and be like, uh.
Who's this guy?
Yeah.
Because when I was a kid, I was like, who's that?
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Yeah, that was me. I was that kid who said that.
Yeah, but
Pretty famous kid.
even I feel like they casted pretty well for most of the cast. Like,
Yeah, I fully
Oh
agree.
yeah, dude.
yeah, they did great.
I fully agree with you there. And the fact that like Ewan McGregor has not aged since that movie. Now Hayden's got some wrinkles on his forehead, but like even then he still looks like Anakin. Yeah, he's not
Oh
like
yeah.
decrepit and like he still looks like Anakin like perfectly. But like Ewan looks like almost the exact same. Like, they had to do
he
makeup on him and make him look older.
he's
Yeah,
timeless.
his wrinkles match the Clone Wars show.
Yeah. Same with Samuel L. Jackson. Samuel L. Jackson looks the same too. He
Yeah,
Oh
he
yeah, he
come
ain't
back
got no wrinkles.
and be Mace Windu anytime.
Yeah, cause He's gonna be the only guy who gets bad MFer inscribed on the hilt of it.
Yep. Yep.
Like, yep, that's Samuel Jackson for you.
Oh yeah.
even if they don't bring him back, like Soka show, it would be great if she can mention him as if like, oh, we had contact, but he's no longer here type. Just to make like, because that he's the only person that's not confirmed that.
Bro,
Like,
all we need is a holocron. Just a little
yeah,
holocron message.
That's all we need. Please.
Okay, so now we have the unfortunate news of getting to the sequels.
Wow, 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 wow.
The money grabbing movies, shall I say?
Thanks,
barely.
Disney. Again.
Yeah.
After y'all fucked up the first movie, nobody really wanted to go back to the theater.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they ruined one of my favorite franchises for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So starting off with Force Awakens, I want to put it at mid only because I think there's one movie worse than this one.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. We discussed that before we started
Yeah.
this.
Okay, so I liked the few aspects of this movie I liked are Finn being able to use a lightsaber, um,
Clickbait.
Kylo Ren's light,
Yeah,
yeah,
for
yeah, Kylo Ren's lightsaber,
and his
um,
force freeze ability.
Clickbait.
That was
yeah, that too. Um, that's about it.
yeah.
Um.
I just
BB-8
Yeah.
BB-8 is annoying. Um,
as hell.
the fact that Poe didn't die is alarming. Um, they killed off the old to make way for the new in the worst decision possible. Um, they let a brat decide to be the next quote unquote Sith Lord to follow in the steps of his grandpappy when he doesn't deserve to.
Also,
Um,
why
yeah,
rename the Empire? Why call it First Order? Like, y'all still the Empire.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Let's create confusion among the mass. How about that?
also, it completely
Let's
takes the
make them
shit on
hate
Return of
their
the
own.
Jedi. Like, completely takes the shit on Return of the Jedi.
Absolutely. Which is why it's
Mm.
in mid and not higher than that.
Because Star Wars does the best celebration scenes. When they win a battle or they win, they have the best celebration scenes. It feels like epic. Yeah, you did it. And
Yeah.
then you shit on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically.
That's
Like,
the piss of
We
my
I mean,
conflict.
these sequels knew before we even started recording that they were not going to get anything higher than mid.
all right. To take the quote of "We shit on you," I introduced the Last Jedi.
Yeah, here's where they took a
Big.
big shit on you, like Taco Bell shit on you.
This is immediate big booty butt cheeks. Um, to me, this is the least Star Wars movie there's ever been. Um,
The
Princess
fight
Leia using the
choreography was
look,
god awful.
Leia using the Force, stupid, stupid, freaking turn turning the ending scene. Look, the ending of Force Awakens gave promise to like Luke being like, "Oh, I'm gonna train this girl," and this movie starts, grabs a lightsaber and throws it. I'm like, bro, that
Yeah.
was like the
What
most anticlimactic
Mm-mm.
2 years down the toilet
if
I've
she
been
can
waiting.
use the force, why would she not truly help her cause and take up her role as a Jedi then? If she can use the force, why not use every power she can to the fullest extent? Why?
And then
And then why
like
piss
what I
off the
was
one
saying
person
about
that
Mark Hamill, dude.
why piss off the one
Just
person
like
that can train you?
and then like dude, just like what I was saying about Mark Hamill, like they turned this beloved character, like the guy
To
who helps his dad bring balance back to the Force and everything, into a little wimp who hides away because he failed one person. You're gonna
he
make mistakes, and you wouldn't have failed the person if you wouldn't have, because he had the same power his dad had, where he could see into the future, and that power is never a good one because you're going to act on it regardless of if you need to or not. He was scared, which he shouldn't be. He should not be scared. He is the man who like fixed everything. Why would he be
hmm
scared of another Sith coming? Just confront it.
And again, like we said before, it ruins power scaling. It ruins any bit of
absolutely.
because
Yeah,
again,
because I mean, even with Luke being old, it's like Yoda was ancient and he was the strongest Jedi. So Kylo just being able to toss around Luke like it was no big deal. just
Yeah, even what Yoda said, like he had the books and like he burned them, and like Luke goes, "Not the sacred Jedi texts," and he's like, "Page turners, they were not." He's
I,
basically telling him like, "Stop going by the book." He's like, "I didn't train you by the book. I trained you the best way I could. Why
yeah.
are you changing it and going by the book now?"
And I think like the worst part about it, I find it funny that we have not mentioned Ray once.
Yeah, pretty much. The
shows
movie
how
was not
prominent
about.
she is.
Dude, the movie was about Rose and Finn. This is a Rose and Finn movie, not about
Yeah, it was
Ray
a
or Kylo.
freaking love story. Like,
Yeah,
chill
The
out,
only good,
Disney.
the only good thing to come out of this movie is the shirtless Kylo Ren meme, and she even says, "Go put a shirt on,"
yeah.
and he's
yeah,
just like,
yeah, you.
he's
Uh,
just like, no.
I hate
That was a
Kylo Ren's
good
voice.
Kylo Ren impression. Just,
Exactly.
no,
I hate his voice. I hate his voice
it's
so bad. Like
I don't want to.
I
this
know
is
they.
making my brain hurt.
I'm the first order. I shouldn't have to put a shirt on if I don't want to.
Yeah.
So no, I won't. He'd be like, "Let me break my." He'd be like, "Hey, let me break my mask real quick and have a temper tantrum." And then the next one would be like, I'm gonna fix it. I shouldn't have broke the mask."
Yeah.
But not only
Eh.
that, but like it's the most anticlimactic death ever. And then like on top of that, like the way they end these movies, there's no hope.
Yeah, and then we've got this villain who's apparently so prominent with the Force, and then he just gets marked like that.
Yeah. And that's another thing. My biggest gripe in this movie is how you gonna kill Luke Skywalker like that?
Yeah, that was.
Dude did not die a hero. He didn't say anybody. He just talked to Kylo. He didn't do anything. He didn't spark any initiative. All he said was, "I'm not the last Jedi. There's people to take the place after me." Haha. And then he uses all of his
get
force
get
energy.
wrecked.
Yeah, he basically uses his force energy to walk up to Kylo, like fart on him, and then die. And then that's about
Emote
it.
and then die.
Yeah,
It's
L
like
dance cap.
Luke
bro hit
became
the
that
wrong
emo
emote.
hippie. Like he became that emo hippie that like tripped shrooms all the time and
And
like was
drank
just
milk from these
yeah.
beasts.
And
Blue
like
He
milk, if I'm
walked
not
over,
mistaken.
dude. He walked over there, default danced on them, and then died.
like how did he become an angsty teen at that age? Like he was that old man. Like, haha, you can't catch me.
He's like, "I'm sorry, I failed you, Ben." He goes, "I don't care. Shoot him down."
Shoot it down.
After I've killed you, I will have killed the last Jedi.
And like I got a question because I really stopped paying attention after this movie was. Did they ever explain why he became so like miserable and depressed?
Because Luke, quote unquote, tried to kill him, and he's like, "Oh no, my grandpa tried to kill me because he saw me go bad in his dream. So I'm gonna go bad in real life now because I'm mad at him and the Jedi stuff he promised to talk to me about,
I'm gonna throw an Anakin tantrum.
and not a good one."
No, not at all.
All right, so thank you, Ryan Johnson, for making the worst Star Wars movie ever.
Die in hell.
All right, so so they bring J.J. Abrams back to try to save anything
Any shred of
to make
dignity this
yeah
franchise still
for
had.
this movie. And what's his best idea? Yeah, let me bring Palpatine back. Let's do that, guys.
The fun
That's
this movie. There's a song that like describes this movie. It's Justin Timberlake. It's too late. It's too late. To apologize. It's
Oh
too
yeah.
late.
He's like, so basically what he does is, so Ryan Johnson basically like pooped on every idea that he had and made The Last Jedi. So then J.J. Abrams like, all right, bet he pooped on my movie. I'm gonna take a massive dump on his movie. And so basically Rose doesn't exist in this. She's in the movie for like 2 seconds and then just like gets nay-nayed. She's not dead. She just gets nay-nayed. And then freaking he's like, huh? What can I do to make this right? First, he had Kylo break his mask, so let me fix it with red glue. Next, I'm bringing Palpatine back because why not? Next, next, freaking I'm gonna have Leia become a Jedi because he made her use the Force for some stupid reason. Next,
Because why
uh,
not?
uh, let me make Rey be a Skywalker. That'll get the Skywalker story going. Actually, I'll make it even better. Let's make her not related to Obi-Wan or Luke and make it
Oh,
make sense, and actually make her related to Palpatine because that works for some reason.
and then we're gonna give the same fate to Kylo as Anakin. Guy turns good, then dips out of life.
Yeah, and then,
Peace.
dude,
I'm sorry, who the
dude,
Palpatine fuck?
this movie, the one thing I hate most about this movie is using the freaking Force to fix like the wounds. Like, dude, that's so freaking stupid. Like, freaking Ray dies. He's like, oh, I'm gonna give her my life real quick, and then so they keep switching back and forth. Like she switches his wound. She's like, oh, let me fix his wound real quick, and then she dies, and then he fixes hers again, and then he dies and turns into a ghost. He's like, haha, you can't heal me now. I'm
See,
dead.
now would be the
And then
perfect time for Tyler Creator and saying this was Qui-Gon Jinn looking at that from the Force. Like, hey, yo, they could do
dude,
that?
yeah, freaking exactly.
You know what Ray feels like if Sakura was the main character of Naruto. Like if Sakura was the
Yeah,
main character of
Oh!
Naruto, that's what Ray
I
feels
don't
like.
think I've ever heard a more accurate description of that movie.
This is
Holy
the
crap.
here,
GT.
look,
This is the
Qui-Gon
GT.
right now.
Qui-Gon right now? Welcome back, Mr. Creator.
Qui-Gon's like, I died for this shit.
And
Obi-Wan, you
then
didn't know this?
Ray be like,
You mean Skywalker?
dude,
Also, that
I
little
don't even
jog she
want.
does, it's the same animation. It's like watching a video game. That little jog she
Yeah.
does anytime, it is the funniest shit ever. It is the funny shit. It's like watching a monkey
The
walk
only
on his hind legs.
the only thing I love about this movie is the Force Ghost talking to Rey. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
She
that's
just became
that's
the
all I
avatar.
was there for. Yeah, I that's all I was there for. That was the only dope scene. And then
Ray's
that's
the
it.
Ray's a worse version of Aang. Like she's like the avatar. This how I felt.
Like Rey as a Jedi is just
Really.
awful. Like I just don't have words to describe it.
She
Like
didn't earn
it's
it.
dog poop lit on fire in a trash bag, thrown into a trash can that's thrown into the window of a two-story, fully attended house.
It's like
Like
Section 8
that's Rey.
housing, and right across the street is a den where they cook dope.
Yeah.
Like, again, if they gave, like, it's not even like, oh, she's a female, da da da. I didn't care about that. I cared about the fact that she had no story. Like, none.
Yeah,
And at the end of the saga, she still had no story.
no,
Nothing made me
She
compelled.
tried to write off the Skywalker story.
I'm like partial to not even giving her the respect of describing how much I hate her.
I still want to know who did
Yeah.
Palpatine sleep with?
Yeah.
Like,
Someone
you tell me he's still
was
able
down
to drop
bad.
seeds?
Someone drank a little too much Henny that night.
I know you want this.
Ultimate power.
This man had to go to. God damn.
Maybe we never
I
know
hate that
because
they
he
gave her like they gave her Anakin and Luke's story pretty much.
Space age.
Like they wanted her to be Luke Skywalker so bad. Like that's the worst part. Is like yeah. Nothing felt earned.
No.
It could have been great.
I
You had great concept, especially if you just
hate
reordered it.
all of them.
But there's no way he's saving it.
Because like here's another way like how I see this like at the end of The Last Jedi, Leia's like, "Let's go rebuild you a lightsaber." And then, like, I bet if Ryan Johnson continued to make the movie, he'd be like, "All right, we're gonna have a really cool, dope lightsaber for Rey next movie." And then J.J. Abrams come back, he's like, "Nope, let's just put a Band-Aid and some chewing gum on it and fix Anakin's lightsaber again." And that's basically all he did. And she used Anakin's lightsaber with like a metal little grip on it to make it different. And I'm
And
like,
she gets a
"Oh,
yellow
she made
one.
her own lightsaber." Yeah, she's like, "Oh, let me be a."
I'm special.
It was like watching Fortnite and everybody's skin was like a Star Wars reference. That's what it
No,
felt
I'm
like.
gonna
Uh,
The way
cap.
people were dropping.
I ain't even gonna cap, dude. I use Anakin skin on Fortnite because it's legendary.
I use Aaron Yeager's.
I ain't gonna hold you. I'm using Optimus Farms right now.
Autobots, roll out.
But again, for me, the sequel should have never existed. We
Yeah,
should have got the prequels, which to me was going to be the Old Republic.
like
They've been
Darth
teasing the
Revan
Old
and
Republic
stuff.
for years.
Yeah, Darth Raven and
For
dude,
years
that'd
they've
be
been teasing it.
insane. Is
Darth
it Raven or
Plagueis the
Revan?
Wise. I call it Revan.
Revan, I
Revan.
think.
That sounds better. Hmm.
Dark
What do we got
Raven just
next?
sounds
You,
like
That's our
a.
top two.
yeah, next is our favorite Jedi and favorite Sith.
Oh,
So,
okay,
do you
cool.
guys want to open, or do you want me to go into my heated discussion
I'm
on
gonna
this?
go ahead and get mine out of the way.
Yeah, I'm gonna get mine
Um,
after. Yeah.
my top Jedi of all time is gonna be Obi-Wan because I love his character. His relationship with Anakin in the prequels was great, and I love how he's also like as he got older, he became more of a balanced man with the Force, if I can make that sound right. Kind of
Yeah.
like I was saying earlier about how like the Jedi Council was too stuck in the old ways, but I think with Anakin, Obi-Wan became just more aware of situations. So that in turn is why I love him, and also he has like one of the most iconic lines. Colby, if you could whisper that loudly into the mic, please.
Wait, which part? Oh,
We got Colby ASMR.
hello there.
Yes, that line. And then for my favorite Sith, I'm honestly gonna step away from the live action and go for Darth Maul, mainly because of what was shown of him in Clone Wars. I absolutely loved his added character to the story and what he had his hand in the development between with like Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka. I absolutely loved it, and his final fight with Ahsoka, which I remember us watching, Colby, was freaking insane.
Bro. The ending of Clone Wars. I'm gonna talk about that when I talk about my favorite Jedi because it goes crazy. Um, Also, real quick before I forget, since we're on a Star Wars episode, I'm gonna do a shout out to my boy Salacious B. Crumb. I bet none of you know who
Yeah.
that is, but I know who Salacious Crumb is.
I do not.
Nah, but
It's
that,
that little alien looking thing that sits behind Jabba. Goes.
Ew, nasty.
Here, look, I'll show you. Salacious B. Crumb is the dude's name, and this is Salacious B. Crumb,
I
bro.
feel like I could have gone the rest of my
yeah.
life without knowing his name.
You know why?
The fact that I
Lego
know his
Star Wars
name and
was
I'm
like
so upset that I do.
playing Lego Star Wars as
Bro,
a kid. That was a face I remember very much well.
yes. Bro looks like
Oh yeah,
I feel like he looks like some sort of like I don't know how to describe it. He looks like a dog, but like a bird, just on meth.
It's like methed out Furby.
Yeah, yeah. That works. That works.
Yep.
I can go with that.
no, I look like my dog from Detroit.
So anyone from Detroit?
Nope, I know nobody from Detroit. Take
Mister
him to Detroit.
Quan Dingleberry, bro. What's your
Quandale
favorite?
Dingle.
Quandale
You're
Dingleberry. What's your top Jedi, bro?
um again. I didn't keep it a secret. My favorite Jedi is Mace Windu. Just because it's like he's interesting. His character. I wish they dived more into his character, but the fact that he's able to tap into both sides of the force, and the fact that he's been the voice of reason the entirety of the prequels, and everybody's like, you just come on, you're nonsense. Like, no, he
I don't
sees
think
stuff, and like,
I don't think the live action did him enough justice. I think
Well,
the comics gave him a lot more depth to his character.
Yeah.
yeah, because like he's a like again, it's not because it's no, it's literally because he's like that was cool to me. Like that was different. Um, and his character was different. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like, you look at any other Jedi that you got introduced to at that point, and yeah, Mace Windu was the different one. He was the to me he was on par with Yoda.
I I can agree with that.
Just in terms of
I've
I
intelligence.
also
can as well.
I've heard that around, so I know you're not just saying it. I've heard it too.
Uh, Again, if my favorite characters. If they do something, I'm good on the ass. But I guess, but I share sentiments about Darth Maul. I love Darth Maul because Darth Maul was the first Sith you got to see in the prequels. And again,
Yeah.
considering I watched it like everybody else did, the original saga into the prequels. All you never really saw what a Sith could be like, and Darth Maul was like that introduction to, hey, we're pretty badass. Like,
We'll hurt a child. Uh,
yeah,
Yeah. Gets cut
like
in half and still doesn't die.
nah, that like to me
Bro
that was
gets robot legs.
and even then when he returned, he even had he was even better in my opinion. Like,
Oh yeah, I'd say he
you
was a
know,
lot more powerful. And he brought his brother with him. Oof, deadly duo.
but
I
yeah,
forgot about Savage Opress.
Yeah.
Darth Maul was like to me
If
the only savage Sith that we could see when it came to that saga.
if that yeah, if for not the fact that they have not made cinematically what Darth Plagueis the Wise would do or Darth Revan would do, I would also agree Maul is probably the most accurate description of a savage Sith.
Yeah,
You ever hear that description by Sam Witwer on Obi-Wan and Maul's last fight in Rebels?
Mm-mm.
So, dude, like, I love how he goes into it because he talks about how in Obi-Wan's fight stance, he first does like a Qui-Gon fight stance to like trick Maul, and then when he gets Maul to do the same move that he's about to do to Qui-Gon, when he like headbutts him and like stabs him,
Oh yeah.
Obi-Wan changes his flow back to like the original one, like the Obi-Wan from New Hope when he like stretches his lightsaber out like this. He's able
Hmm.
to cut the lightsaber in half and it kills Maul. And like, but like he just holds Maul while Maul's like dying in his arms, and like, dude, he tricked him. But like, dude, like, you should watch Sam Witwer like explain it because I'm not doing it as much justice. But dude, having him explain it was like legendary.
Yeah, I noticed that
But now if
myself.
we're going into mine,
Yeah, I never heard anyone explain it, but I did see it myself. I thought there was a really good adage to it. Bro said, get
yeah.
nade.
All right, so to go into my favorites, so mine is a whole story. So
My top
if you
Jedi is
start,
Anakin. My favorite Sith is Darth Vader. Is that really it?
so
No
yeah.
way.
yeah. There's
But
another
so
Why
way
did
look,
though.
I know that?
but look, because dude, it's a whole. The reason why, dude, it's his whole life, isn't right? So like, the first movie, you get to see him like he's born into slavery. Palpatine, Palpatine fiddled with the midichlorian particles and Shmi, and she gave birth to Anakin without a dad, and so Anakin like he Palpatine did that on purpose because he wanted to clone that he wanted like a apprentice that could rival him, take his place one day, and so he did that in order to like birth apprentice, and then but you see Anakin born into slavery, and then he gets freed, but you can't free his mom, so he gets a taste of freedom, but not with the person who's been there with him since day one. Um,
Get racial.
then in the second movie, well, in the first movie still, so he doesn't get to stay with his mom. The only person he likes, um, has to leave, and then the person who promised to train him dies, and he's being forced to train with somebody a little bit younger. So then they cut to the second movie. Obi-Wan still isn't like as experienced with training, and he continues to tell Anakin to be mindful of his thoughts, don't have any attachments or whatever. Anakin's like, I ain't gonna listen to this dude. Um, I'm a clap the queen. I'm a clap Padme, and then so he grows an attachment which he shouldn't, and then he starts having dreams about saving his mom, and he's like, I really need to save her. Like, I don't know how to do it. And with the power of seeing into the future, like you get to see what happens, but you don't always get to prevent what happens. Sometimes it's just like a warning, like, hey, this is what's going to happen. It's going to warn you for it. If you don't have the attachment in the first place, don't worry about it. Since he still had the attachment to his mom, it messed with him, and that's why that one. That's why that was another sign where like he wanted to save somebody and he couldn't, so he thought he was still weak, but he's told he's going to be the greatest one ever. So he's like, if I've got all this power, why can't I save anybody? And so that's what drives him to get stronger and stronger and stronger. Cutting to the third movie, where he gets strong enough to where he defeats, he's able to save Obi-Wan from Count Dooku. He killed Count Dooku, and then he managed to get them to Coruscant safe, and then he gets put on council, but he finds it to be the biggest insult to be on the council but not being at the rank of master. And then Obi-Wan's like, just give it patience. Anakin's like, I don't want patience though. I want it now. I want to do it now. I'm the only person on the council who isn't the master. That's crazy. And Obi-Wan's like, be grateful you're even on the council, buddy. And then so Anakin has another dream, and he's like, "Oh, I can't let this happen again." And then his best pal starts feeding little cherry blossoms into his ear, be like, "Hey, this might be tempting. I can save. I know this story about Darth Plagueis who was able to cheat death. I can." He keeps tossing these little things in his ear until Anakin can't ignore it anymore, and he finally finds out who the bad guy is. But the stories of being able to save his wife sound a little bit better than stopping the bad guy. So eventually it cuts to his mind where he can't lose another person. And his biggest downfall is having that attachment to Padme. Because if he wouldn't have had the attachment, he would have made everything would have been perfectly fine. He would have overcame all obstacles he had. But since he had that attachment to Padme, everything he'd ever trained for went out the window the minute he saw her going to die, not knowing that he's the reason why she died in the first place because he acted on his future sight, which he shouldn't have. And like then cutting into him being my favorite villain, like it takes all the pain of Anakin being a Jedi and turns all that pain and suffering into his anger. That's his motivation that fuels him. Plus, Palpatine made that suit uncomfortable. He had needles in the mask
Hmm.
prodding at Anakin's face. He had the
Just
mask
not to
like he
bring
had
out
the
his
thing
full
get like
power.
super. Yeah, and then he had that suit get hot, so he had to take like back to tank baths like every few months. He gave him old parts. He gave him old robot parts so he couldn't be updated, so he could never actually overthrow Palpatine, but have him as a strong apprentice. And like even then, it still shows how much pain he's been in. And there's a comic where he goes to Padme's planet and he's able to just like drop some flowers down there and like come back as Anakin for a second, and then like just like all of that, and then he figures out that he has a son, his son's still alive, and then the turning point is whenever he sees his son getting hurt to the point where he's about to die, when he's like, I can't let this happen. And he picks up Palpatine and yeets him off the balcony. And then he finally turns good. Brings balance back by killing Palpatine, quote unquote, killing Palpatine. And
Apparently.
bringing balance back. And then him coming back as a Force ghost um, was like the cherry on top because like he came back and he ended up being good. So like the reason why I said it's cliche, I know, to say, oh, he's my favorite Jedi and because it's my same character, but there's so much drawn into it where like they're both different people. Even in Kenobi, when Kenobi's like crying, saying like, Anakin, I'm sorry for all this. He's like, I'm not your failure. You didn't kill Anakin Skywalker. I did, and like all of that, just like the betrayal, like everything. They're two different people, but yet it's still the same person bringing out the same thing. Just like I think it more like multiple personality disorder, where Darth Vader's his bad personality and Anakin's his good personality, and right now the bad guy was winning. But like for me, it's still two different people in the
Well,
same body, and that's why I think
can
it's
I say something real
crazy.
quick? Because like it's not
Go
genetic.
ahead.
Like to me, Anakin's character got fully fleshed out. To me, and Anakin went from being the oppressed to the oppressor with good intent.
Yeah,
If that makes sense. Before he became
yeah,
Darth Vader, things he wanted to do was in good intent, but again, he was over ambitious. That was that
Good
Mm,
reasons, wrong
exactly.
execution.
But you can't blame him. Like when you're
yeah,
oppressed, like for Anakin to be oppressed his whole life, and to finally get that freedom, and then be told, "Oh no, you have to oppress yourself." And then he knows he's skilled. He knows he's in that. Again, for Palpatine to purposely limit, you know, put a lock, a frame lock on Anakin just because of fear. That says a lot. But at the end of the day, Anakin's still that. Whether
yeah,
he was Darth Vader, I think he's still that little kid when you first meet him in Episode One.
yeah,
And like that's what I liked about
yeah,
Anakin the most. Is that he's not evil. He's just misguided.
yeah. That misguiding is his own, like that's the unfortunate his downfall is just him not being able to be brought up as good as he could have been. In my
Yeah,
case, anyway, that's how I see it.
I can't disagree with you. I think you're right, but I still have my own opinion.
What's your opinion?
No, just with why he's your favorite on both
Why do you think
ends.
he's my favorite?
Huh?
Why do you think he's my? Oh, I thought you said that you had an opinion on why I thought he was. You thought he was my
No,
favorite.
I'm just saying. Like, no, I
Oh,
agree with you, but I still have my opinion about why I like mine too.
gotcha. Makes sense. And yours are valid opinions. Like all your guys' bad guys and Jedi's, they're all like valid. I
But
don't
I
know why
know you
Anakin
just
just
have that
sticks out.
special love for Anakin.
He sticks out to me the most, dude. Like I love his story, and like watching all the movies and watching him, you get to pinpoint every single little thing that sets him off. And in the third movie, it's all valid for good reason.
But again, like it's deeper root too,
The
because like again, it shows Anakin, even as Darth Vader, Anakin's as sure he is himself, is still insecure. Even as Darth Vader, he was
Yeah,
Mhm.
insecure. He was conflicted. I was that balance in his head of not being able to properly control light and dark. I, what
Accurate.
I felt from like Darth Vader, like especially when the prequels came out, it was Anakin knew after that. Like Anakin knew that he was being lied to, all that crap. Like, but it was too late.
Oh, Quan, real quick. It says on my end, it's telling me to tell you to close out the studio and rejoin in it because it's not picking up your
All right,
audio right now. It picked it up. It picked up the entire episode, but just like at this moment, it's not. So just close out and then come back in. The
all right.
link's still active.
Goodbye, Quan
Oh,
Dingleberry.
no, he's coming right back. It's just fixing this audio. Yeah, because what is it?
I know.
I don't want to repeat of. Yeah, audience. Our failed episode one. We recorded an entire episode and then like it glitched out like all of Luke's audio, and we just
It
had to scrap
sucked.
we had to scrap the entire thing, and we were talking for like almost 2 hours,
Dude,
and we
yeah,
got
we had a good conversation going.
yeah. And like our anime episode was like originally going to be the first one, so like our new one, it wasn't as fleshed out. It felt kind of like dry because we already like had so much emotion in that one. But now we're back. Let's see. Quan
Quandale
is
Dingleberry?
rejoining.
Hello,
All right,
I'm back.
Quan's back.
Quandale. Yo!
He's back.
Quandale Dingleberry back in
All
the
right, there we go. All
mix.
right, now say what you were saying about Darth Vader now, because I don't think it caught that part.
Because again, like for me, the Sith, what made them so compelling is that they don't attack their insecurities. Instead, they make their insecurities their weapons. If that makes sense. And
Yeah,
Anakin,
Yeah.
if even while doing what he felt was right, he's still not at the level he feels like he should be.
yeah,
And Darth Vader, yeah, you're feared, but you're still under Palpatine.
yeah,
So like again, I like Anakin just because of that. Like it fleshed out what we wanted to know about Vader.
yeah. On the, like the emotional side, because from in the sequels, In the original trilogy, you just see him as like a emotionless robot. You don't really have much backstory on him. But then, like when you watch 1, 2, and 3, you realize how much pain and suffering he's going through the entire series, and then that adds more flavor to 4, 5, and 6 when you see that he's always in a constant state of suffering, and always in a state of wanting to become better, but can't due to he's under certain limitations where he cannot be stronger than he is.
Like I always thought about the Tom and Jerry concept, right? About how
Yeah,
like they say, oh, Tom and Jerry are really friends, but they have to pretend to make sure thing. And like
yeah,
me, that was our favorite. Like, because you gotta think when you people describe Vader, he's ruthless. He doesn't hesitate.
yeah,
And like something that like going back on and rewatching the original sequel, the original trilogy, is the fact of Vader hesitated only when his emotions got involved. He may have been robotic, he may, but he hesitated. And like to me, that was the biggest thing. Anakin never hesitates. Anakin,
yeah,
you know, that's not Anakin. But again, Vader understands that part of this is not right.
yeah.
Hmm.
Like,
And that's why I like. That's why I love like Anakin is such a complex character. It's so fun to like being able to analyze a character at certain points and see this is what happened. This is what's different with him now. This is what he's learned. This is what he's still lacking in. Like being able to analyze a whole character like that's like really, it's really good. It's really fun.
all right, could we have one last like quick topic?
Yeah,
Um, how do y'all feel about Kel?
Cal Kestis.
Yeah,
I like it. I like his
I
character.
like him.
I've
I
only
like him.
see. I've only played the first one. Luke's played Survivor. I haven't yet, but I do like Cal Kestis' character a lot.
I'll tell you what though, I'm just gonna be straight up honest about it. Those puzzles in those games are a bitch. It
Yeah,
makes the one thing I hate about the game the most. I hate them so much.
but
But other than that, dude, yeah, like Cal's character development in between the two games and seeing like where he was when Order 66 happened and how that, turned him into, how he dealt with certain problems or how he wanted to help people. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything too drastic other than what I was seeing, so I'll do like his character.
also like again, like Cal made sense. The way he fought, the way he was trained, but not properly. You know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
Yeah, wasn't fully trained.
every
That's why he reminds me of Luke. Like he does things that he was taught how like when he was training, but he adds his own little flair to it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And again, I like it, and his character got. Without saying too much, I feel like his character got more a much needed boost in Survivor.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But yeah. I wish
Boys, I think
I would. I guess the sequels. Yeah, the sequels did that. I wish they made it more realistic.
Yeah, same here.
boys, I think we got a podcast.
I think we do.
Hey, if y'all ever do a Turtles
No.
episode, let me know. I love the Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I'll let
I'm
y'all
about to
do
watch
that
the new
one.
one. I gotta watch the new one. I'm sure Austin might be down for that one. I don't know how much he is in the Ninja Turtles.
I love that.
I'm not
I'd be
too big
down for
into
it.
them.
I'd be into it 100%.
'Cause, yeah, like I have so many memories of Turtles.
Oh yeah,
Kid, Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird had the drawing contest that I entered my
yeah.
sketches into. It was cool. Like, yeah. But
Oh yeah. Well, Quan, it was a pleasure having you as a guest.
definitely,
Luke, I'll see. I might see you same time next week. If I don't, I'll see you the next following weeks when we
Yep,
can do
yes,
another
sir.
one. But this has been Hyperfixated this week, ladies and gentlemen, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you again so much for 100 listens. We couldn't be a podcast without you. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you, folks.
appreciate y'all.
Have a great one.
See you guys.
Hey, let me get a minute. Hey, let me get one too. Hey, let me hold on. Yeah, you get that right there. What the dog? What the dog? What the dog doing? What the dog? What the dog? What the dog doing? What the dog? What the dog? What the dog doing? What the dog? What the dog? What the dog doing? What the dog? What the dog